yourself. Ngacha, could you just confirm? Okay, and on the same note, we have to make an announcement that we are currently live streaming this on YouTube. So you can catch up with the recording on YouTube, and yeah, we can be able to get, yeah, you can be able to catch up with what we've discussed today. So Ngacha, please confirm if you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Apologies for joining late. So my name is Ngatia. I cannot start my video, but it's okay. Can continue. So I'm Ngatia. I'm a UI UX designer. This is my third year. I'm a UI UX designer at Safaricom. I support many teams, but previously I was supporting the team that is working on the M-Pesa app, and now I've moved to another team that is currently supporting my Safaricom app as one of the products. Yeah, so I had the people that saying their backgrounds. My background is in economics, so that's what my degree is in. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Ngatia. We are excited to hear about your stories. So, given the big different backgrounds that we've had, and Michelle expressing an interest in wanting to share her background on the same, also, can I make like a side note? If you're able to, for the speakers, if you're able to like turn on your video, that would be great. If you're not, that's also okay. And yeah, so my first question would be on helping us get to know you and helping us to understand your background, what you were doing before, what inspired you to transition to product design. Just let us understand, how did you get started? So I'll just go to the person with the most honors for starting first. Mtu wa kwanza, Elizabeth, can you get us started? How did you get started in product design? And yeah, what's the story?
Okay. For me, I'd say I was working with a small team. I hope I'm unmuted. Yeah, I was working with a small team, so I happened to be like doing front end at the same time. Then I didn't know what I was doing was UX. But yeah, so with time I realized like, we'd meet and discuss all these designs. And then, I go work up something, but then like I look at the inspirations on Behance, and I kept wondering like what people were doing who like were making those designs, and I wanted to do more of that. So I just slowly transitioned from, now front end to UX. And I think that's how, like, the more the projects we got, the more I kept working on like doing also like the UX bit of it, which saved the team time because we had something that was tangible that we could actually like converse about in terms of like the product we're building, and also do revisions before we moved on to now the building stage. So yeah, basically that. But then at the same time, I was in school trying to find my footing in like engineering. I'm doing a bit of machine learning, data science. So I can say I was a bit of doing everything at once. Yeah, but my transition now happened when I was now working and trying to get to visualize the ideas that we were talking about when you were building the products. So I can say that's how it came about to me doing UX. And then now I fully moved from coding. Yeah, I was doing Angular that time. I think it was, I don't remember the version, but yeah, it was like, whew, it still wasn't feeling like I'm in my element yet. But then when I started doing UX, because I had some like background in research and all that, it was a bit easy for me and I loved it, and that's how I moved in it. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting background. We'll just move on to quickly to Chantel. You can take us through how you got started in your UX design.
Sure. So someone once told me, someone once told me something about when you're tired of like when you're tired of struggling to find yourself, you finally find yourself, right? So I like saying I was in the right place at the right time. because, well, some of us think that. So I got into a tech community. Started off with doing code. So there was this tech community. I'm from Kisumu. In Kisumu, that like used to organize events, virtual events, coding events, and I used to like be a part of that. And eventually, I just figured there would be something more than coding. So someone's going to get pissed at this, but I'm sorry, it's my take. Something more than coding, which was designed for me. And so I million on I. So what I did was basically just dive into resources from the internet. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll not fuel the fire between devs and designers today. We'll just save that for another day. So let's move on to Michelle.
Sadly, my story is not going to be a battle. I have worked in customer experience for about 6 years, but I do have a background in tech. It wasn't something that I was really interested in. So being in customer experience, you're in direct contact with the client. But then there's a point where you get to, that's where your work ends. Hapo ndo pale kazi yako inaishia. Like, you want to do more, but that's not a jurisdiction. That's another team. So in my head, I was like, I need to do more. For me, where I was at that time, the only way up was to be in a management role. And I did get to a management role, but then I stayed there for like 2 months and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I actually dreamt about UX design. So I was sleeping and then I just told God I needed something more. Like, this can't be it. I didn't enjoy being a leader. It's not that I wasn't good at it. It just sucked. Like, unaingia job umekasirika tu, like it sucked. I also felt intimidated because I was the youngest in my team and it was. So I dreamt of UX design. I dreamt of who my mentor was going to be. His name is Peter. Like, everything was, it just came to me in a dream. I woke up in the morning and sent him a DM on Twitter. I was like, God told me, God told me that you need to teach me design. And I was like, I've never taught anyone. He's a senior designer in Nigeria. He's like, I've never taught anyone. So I told him, yeah, I'm going to be your first. And that's how we went with it. That's how my journey started.
Okay, this peak of faith that moves mountain. We need to understand which mountain do you facing. That will be for later when we meet in person, but we need to understand this one. You just wake up and manifest someone. Hey, powerful things. Okay, so maybe your chakras aligned at that time, but we need to understand it more in depth. But we are in a bit of a time crunch, so we'll move on to Ngatia. From economics to UX design, how did that come about?
The rest of the guys have got very deep stories. So I don't know. I can just give the non-HR response. So for me, it was more about the money. One day I was on Twitter. I saw somebody talking about how much your UX designers earn. I checked how much I was earning. But anyway, that's part of the story. And as I've mentioned, that's a story that you can't give during an interview. However, so as an economist, we are actually trained to solve problems, but in an interesting way. So the problems we solve are in regards to how can I make limited resources fit unlimited needs? And so I left school looking for a job that I could practice that. But then, as we all know how things happen, that's not what I got. So I actually became a personal assistant to a group chairman. Then, because I'd done some accounting while in school, is the time that the accountant left the company, and I was given that mandate. So I became the personal assistant stroke the accountant for this company. After some time, I I didn't feel like I was being like there was a lot of fulfillment in that role. And so I stumbled upon UX now. Connect the story from how I started. So I stumbled upon UX online, and somebody was mentioning what they do and how much they earn. And yeah, decided to Google about it, realized it's something that I can do because at the moment I was designing posters, but I was designing posters on Canva. So I know, again, that's another debate on whether Canva is a tool for graphic designers. But yes, that's what I was doing. And so I started realizing that, again, the way things are placed either on a poster or on an app, there's some thought behind it. And that's how I was intrigued. I quit my job and decided to pursue UI UX. Found UI UX at that time when I was quitting, it was during COVID. Found that was the time when Google launched their course. And so I did that. At the moment, I thought that I was going to get a career within, like a job within 6 months. Lo and behold, that was not the case. Went into customer service as I was looking for a UI UX role, and then got an internship at Safaricom after a full year. So I quit my job as an accountant stroke personal assistant. So it took me a full year to get another job, and then to get a job as an intern in Safaricom. And then from there, as all the people who like saying, the rest is history.
Okay, so I'll just shoot you with this question from Alan. Could you just give a timeline for your career transition? You've mentioned a break within a year, but what year was this? Maybe it's earlier, and we can maybe give the audience a better understanding of how that journey was for you.
So I'm reading the question. Please remember to mention the timelines on when you transition. Yeah, so for me, I left my career as an accountant stroke personal assistant in December, actually the first week of January 2022, yes, or 2021, if my memory serves me right. Then, as I had mentioned, it took me a full year to get a role as an intern at Safaricom. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll also throw it the same to Chantel, Elizabeth, and Michelle. You mentioned that, but I want you to cover, you're mentioning transitioning from different careers, but what resources helped you during that time? What helped you make that change? And what timelines are involved? When did you transition? When did you land a role? Or are you still searching? And how has that been for you? Anyone can take it?
Okay.
I guess I'll go first. Oh, okay. Michelle, you can go ahead.
Thank you. For me, I started learning in 2020. So that time we had moved from the company we were in. So we were changing the company that we were working for, like the company we were outsourcing for. So that's when I decided, I don't want to do this. So it was in 2020 during COVID times, around March. That's when I started learning. So I didn't start from like understanding the key concepts. I went straight to learning Figma, learning the tools, Adobe XD, Photoshop. So I had my mentor, the person who taught me. So I was doing night shift. So what we would do is I worked in social media. So by midnight, there wasn't like a lot going on. We'd do a course. So we'd do a course, and then in the morning I'd sleep. Then at 11, I'm up, we are designing. So that's how my learning went. And then he sent me a lot of books. I would read a lot of books, a lot of practice. And then now in 2021, Google came with their course. I think it was in 2020 or 2021, but I decided to do that. That course is the kind that tells you hakuna kitu najua, like you do not know anything. You know, you tell yourself, it says that I'm going to do this in 6 months. I did that course in almost a year. Like you have to go back, like pako unajiuliza, did I really learn this? Why am I not understanding it? Like you see people say nilimaliza na 3 months. No, like it was, so I decided to do that. It gave me a better understanding of what I was working with. So from the time that I started 2020 to when I got a job, I got my first job as an intern at our company. I just saw a position and I was like, please give me a chance. But that was not my first role, but I got my first official role as an intern in 2021. So about a year, more or less.
Okay, so I see Sandra has a question. Sandra, you can unmute yourself and ask your question right now as we take the rest from Chantel and Elizabeth.
My question is more for Michelle. You mentioned that I just need clarity. The course that you did, is it the Google UX specialization or there's like a bunch? So it's the 6 months Google UX specialization.
Yes, it's called the Google UX, the Google Coursera UX course, that one, the one that has 7, I think it has 7 modules. So yeah, that one, that's the one I did.
Okay, then we'll move on to Chantel, Elizabeth.
I guess the Google UX course, the Google UX design course is what humbled every person who wanted to start with UX. Yeah, I was working in this company as a front-end developer since 2020. I had just gotten like the Google Landella certificate for front-end, so I was like still learning and all that. And then I was transitioned to UX around 2021. I was still like, didn't know it was UX, UI design. So, but, I started getting the hang of it. And then in 2022, now I fully decided to like stop doing, both, and now started actually working on that. And that's when I applied for a scholarship to be able to do that certificate, that course, the 7 modules for the Google UX design. And yeah, that sent me down a rabbit hole of realizing there's so many different careers in UX and like so many things. And at the same time, what helped me now to apply what I was learning at that time was Spacia Tech. At that time, they wanted to build a product, that's the Mentalist product, and they were looking for designers. And I was like, yeah, I've been reading so much. I think that time was just like, it was during elections actually, that period. And I was just like still in school in Yeri, and all I was thinking about is like, I have so much content, but I don't know where to apply it. So actually getting to now work with Spacia Tech made me realize like what I was actually learning it made me validate what I was learning because I was putting it to practice, and I got to do so much of the UX that I was learning. It wasn't theoretical anymore. And it also made me, I think working in a team at that point was really helpful because sometimes when you're doing something on your own, you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong. So when you're working in that team, at least you get others to correct you and guide you through. So that's ideally, I'd say, has been my journey. And then after that, because of like other engagements in school, since I was still like in robotics and other things, I started looking for like contracting roles. So for me, it was more of like contracting, and I decided to just push myself. So the first, somebody asked in our WhatsApp group, they asked for a UI UX designer. And I was like, me, I'm going to do this. You know what? See, I've learned enough, and like interacting with people has made me realize I'm actually in the right path. So I went ahead and worked with this client he's based in the UK. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like 6 months ago, I wouldn't be saying I would be here like writing an invoice for someone for something I'm still learning while doing. But yeah, pushing myself to do that made me realize that, yeah, the skills, believe in your skills and just continue learning, but don't build in secret. Like don't learn in secret. Make sure you have somebody to guide you or a community to support you. Yeah. I'd say that has been my experience so far. It's just been contracting, but now I'm currently now looking for like full-time roles since I'm done with school. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting. We'll get back to that, but I'd like Chantal to take it and also help us answer the question by Rachel. You need a graphic design background to excel in UI UX design.
I'll start with the question. Personally, I did not have a background in graphic design, so my answer would be not really. However, you should understand design principles. They might at times seem similar, but some of them are a bit different for UX and graphics. Onto my story, my experience. Well, like I had mentioned, it had started with me joining a tech community. And within this tech community, I got a friend. So this is between end of 2019, beginning of 2020. By the time I was getting this friend who was like a techie before me, that time she was a developer. Yes. I also the tech the someone within the tech community supported me and gave me a job role. Now before that they had tried like really teaching me how to code. Yeah, they had really tried teaching me how to code and it was not like, but they noticed that I did have interest in like designing, so whenever they had like events, I would be really interested in the posters and oh okay, so what's that? Uh you can so transparency. While doing that, um we kind of noticed along the way that coding was not for me. But then I did not like now that I had picked up the whole design thing in my head, this friend I had mentioned, this is where she comes into the story. So she was doing this particular bootcamp that HTML, CSS, microverse. I hope mtamtabib if Nishida. She was doing microverse. And then when I place, they are given like designs too, and I'm like, so ile ni design haijakuwa coded, but it looks like that. And so Minika, that's how I dove into design. So in my head, I have entered design thinking that it is just colors, rainbows, squares, shapes, stars, and everything nice. Until design showed me what design is. So design all the starts all the way from UX, me all that was hard. First and foremost, just receiving feedback on my rectangles and squares that look really nice was really hard. Now add on top of that you know what, all you're doing is UI and you're doing it wrong. Don't even know the design principles of people start with UX. Now that was like a whole new dimension, a whole new formation. I actually struggled with fitting that into place. Now, I want to say that I did not have a mentor. That might have been my fault in a way because come to think of it right now, there are people who actually would have like held my hand, but I was too scared, I was too shy. And then it's also very hard to receive feedback. So you get to like it takes like a very long time for you to learn because now there's no growth if you don't receive feedback. There's no growth if you don't have someone telling you, kidogo hapo, kidogo umemes, try this and that. So yeah, basically when I came to the realization like something happened where I was working. Uh where I was working, I had decided to like become a design apprentice and I was given a task. And so si mi najua mi ni designer. Come on, what do you mean? Utafanya hii task na how long? Nikawapea definite. Long story short, siku manage kumaliza. And yeah, it was really painful for me that first and foremost, this is something like I have been priding myself into like being and doing, and I can't even do it right. What's wrong? Like that was my turning point for me. So I had forgotten the timeline. So that was between 2020 and last year, 2023. Hiyo time nilikuwa tuna struggle na resources on the internet. Like so basically ukijifunza design and you don't have a guideline and map, which I didn't have, or like you're relying on different blogs. Easy blogs zinaweza kuambia summaries about stuff, but they don't like get into stuff. So hapo katikati, I just decided that, you know what, I don't know anything. I like went silent kidogo on the whole noise about design, especially on social media. I just dove into now let's learn design. So Google UX Coursera course. I have noticed every speaker on the panel has mentioned this. I also took, and that is how I also knew I have been okay. I won't say wasting my time, but trying to find myself, right? Yeah. So while going through the course, it was really hard for me. I will be honest because I had a full-time job and I needed to deliver. This is my daily bread. And fair, everything, rent, Mimi. And honestly, I pride myself in very good work, so I make sure I deliver. So, however, I did not have the option of having time as an excuse, so I had to fit in some time. Instagram algorithm ikaribu kaniletea Steve Harvey anasema how human beings don't need 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, really? I know it's your opinion, but you're going with that. So nika reduce time yangu ya kulala. So that means I got more time to practice my stuff and I could also deliver. Now, you know yourself, you know whether you're a night owl or a morning person. Me, niligundua morning works best. And so the better part of my morning was deep work, very much into design, very much into the UX course. Trust me, that thing humbles you. Unakula hizo makucha mpaka anyway. Yeah. Long story short, nilimaliza course nikajaminia, nikatafuta kazi, now I'm a full-time product designer.
Okay, so from what you've gathered from your insights, that your journeys have looked different, and you like landing that first role. For some, it's about networking. For others, it's about being having a mentor within a company. And for us, is that landing an internship. But there's a great gap between learning the skills and landing that first role. So to build up on that, I see Max has asked a question on the UX design career now. Since you discussed about the challenges in landing that first role, I just take Max's question on what are the some dark patterns that you've come across in UX and that are cringe to the user but good to the business, and how did you analyze which one to be used? You have learned about the UX principle by the Coursera course and by doing it, but when you were in the job, how did you discover what dark UX patterns that you came across that were cringe but good, cringe to the user but good for the business? And don't trauma your NDA when you're answering this. So that would be helpful. So Ngatia, since you've been silent for the longest, you can take this.
Now that I really have to think about my NDA. Anyway, so I'll just give an example that I'm sure probably everyone on the panel will give out. So log out, opt out, sign out, and what each term means. So of course, when you do any UI UX course, you'll be told that you are the voice of the customer. And an example that I like giving a lot is, in as much as you're the voice for the customer, if you were to draw, you guys, I'm sure you've seen how that game for darts looks like. So there's a circle, and then in between is the bullseye. So I believe that as a UI UX designer, yes, you're the voice of that customer, and you're at the bullseye. But then the outer lines, where if you throw the darts, you get less points. I believe that those are boundaries, and that's where now the business comes in. So our work ideally is to balance the two. A good example is, I'm sure everyone here as a user on Safaricom, you'd like to have free transactions. Again, it's something that we'd all wish for. And if I go to, if I push that towards the business, of course, they'll say, on one hand, yeah, it makes sense, etc, etc, but on the other hand, how are we going to make profit? So of course, it's a big question in how will you balance the two? And I think the best way out is, in as much as, yes, you're representing the business, Empathy is key. And again, those are the skills that everyone learns in the course. Empathy is key. And for us is to find a way that you'll satisfy both parties, and that at the end of the day, both parties will be happy with the solution that we come up with. Unfortunately, is that most of the time, business will kick in, but then now it's up to you to convince the business that this is the way that will make sense. So, for example, I'm sure in many platforms that everyone uses, it's very hard to find opt-outs, sign-outs, delete accounts. And the question should not be, how can I hide the delete account? The question should be, why do customers want to delete the account? Now, you see, if you focus on the wrong question, you'll be incorporating dark patterns into your work. But then if you focus on the right question in trying to solve, okay, sawa, nimekuwekea delete account. We believe that we are all adults, and okay, if you're designing for adults, you're all adults, and that you have the freedom to enter and to leave as at will. Now the question is, why do you want to leave? And if you solve for that, I believe you will be able to convince the business on why that button should be, again, it should be everywhere and that somebody can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like us to move along, and I'd like Elizabeth and Chantel to share about this. So would you help me answer a question by David about how his resume should look like as a junior UI UX designer without any work experience? Since you've all transitioned, so how would you advise him to go about that?
I'd say first, like, look for opportunities where you can be able to intern. At least some people, like, communities will be highly appreciative of like interns and people just willing to share their skills. The other thing is the projects that you get to work on. You can put that as well. Like, if you worked on a certain client's project for like 3 months, that's experience for you. So, it shows that you can be trusted to work independently. It shows a lot of things about your work ethics. So just put it there in terms of the projects that you've done in the time range, the 3 months, the 6 months. Yeah, just put the projects and then outline what your roles were and what you achieved.
I think Elizabeth has covered it quite well.
Lynette, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let me just take it away. So speaking about moving on to the next question, whereby it will be like you both have different challenge. You have different backgrounds on how you transitioned and your career looked like. The journey looked different for you. You had challenges that you faced. How did you overcome them? You've spoken about taking the Coursera course, and Michelle talks about it taking a year for her. What kept you going when you didn't have that silver lining that you were hoping for between completion of the course or when you landed your first role? How did you keep at it? What advice would you give to someone who is currently on that journey or envisioning to undertake that journey, but they need to understand how to keep at it until it pays off? Anyone can take it, Michelle.
Okay. I think what kept me going is one of my biggest fear is failure. And I also don't like being mediocre. Like, that is, she's so mediocre. That is something that I don't want people to ever say about me. Plus, this mentor that I had, I didn't want to let him down. Like, he would put so much effort into teaching me something he has never done before, but and he's someone from another country, doesn't owe me anything. So I was like, if I stop now, I'm going to be mediocre. And design sort of gives you a God complex. I usually say problem solving is like my superpower. These are things I come with from my CX role. So I know how to tackle a problem. So I have something to prove. I want to show them like these things that I could not do at this level, I can do them at this level. So let me just do them. So I think for someone who is starting out, it's not going to be a hard journey. It's not going to have to be an easy journey. Online, there's a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise. Mtu anasema, oh, I just earned within my first 2 months of learning. Or, it's not a race. I would just say, take your time. Maybe I thought I knew, I thought I knew everything. In that 1 year, I took that course. I was like, bro, you know nothing. Like, I was telling myself, I was seeing people on Twitter would say, I finished this in 3 months, 2 months. I was like, bet. I did that and I was like, you don't know anything. Like I went back to the drawing board and looked at each and everything that I am learning, and I am like, it took me 1 year. So just take your time, block out all the noise. Usiangalia watu wenye wanasema, I started earning within 2 months. That is a lie. Nobody does that. That is like damn luck. For you to be able to do this well, like hata wewe ukwe proud of what you're doing. There's nothing as bad as wewe unalipwa. Okay, you'll get a job, you'll do it, but it doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't make you feel like, yeah, that's my work. Like that is me. If you're not proud of, is this thing user-centered? Is it meeting what the business wants, or you just want to get your money and go? So I'll just tell someone it's not a race. Learn as much as you can in this time. Just take your time. Hiyo pesa bado iko. People say UX is a very saturated field. It is, but it's also how good are you? What value do you bring? So just try to be as good as possible. Block out your noise. Don't look at, I started earning in 2 months and then you let it go to your head. Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth, Chantal. Elizabeth, you
Yeah.
have an interesting background because you are balancing your studies and UX design. How did you manage that? What helped you keep at it?
Yeah, I was just listening to what Michelle was saying about I got a job in 2 months. Yeah, for me, it's like, okay, one thing I knew when I joined campus was I knew I wanted to be in tech, but the which side of tech is what I didn't know. And I found myself forcing myself in something, I'm like, I'm an engineer, I want to be doing machine learning, robotics. I mean, I definitely did that. I even ended up reviving the robotics club. So I have tried so many things. I did front end, like I mentioned, software development, front end. I did I even did the Google certification, so I have that for web, and also did machine learning. Ended up, in school I was also doing a lot of like embedded programming and all that. But I don't know, I was just not feeling like this is like, you just sit down and ask yourself, is this what you want to be doing for the rest of your life? Or is this field in making you to be expressive enough in terms of who you are and in terms of your skills? And I realized it's just, this degree, I have to do it. And I really loved it. I mean, I definitely love what I was doing there. But I ended up now getting into UX, like you realize there's a lot of reading, and what validated my decision in terms of UX. I mean, first of all, it was the first, after trying all these different things, it was the first time somebody actually believed in me to deliver when I was still learning. And I was like, okay, I mean, definitely the money played a role in motivating me to actually continue learning and have those skills. But the other thing is, in school, I also realized we had a whole semester, a unit that was about UX. It's called engineering design, but it was literally UX. I think it's that meme for this actor. And that guy is really watching a movie. Is like, yeah, that one. So that's what I saw. And I was like, oh my God, we're learning exactly what I am learning on the side. And I knew I wanted to do UX after that. So yeah, so for me, it's just, it was just like I was keeping myself. I mean, it was also as a means of trying to survive in campus as well, and it seemed to work. So, but I loved it. I loved it. And I can say for me, what really helped me was community. I've been really active in the tech community, and it helped me to meet people to just to, open my eyes, guide me through the way, and also just like give me opportunities along the way. So I can say that is what really helped with my journey. Yeah, I think that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you for that. Chantel, what helped you when you transitioned between the years 2020 till now? What has kept you on this journey?
So before people really walk out with the wrong impression and be misleading them, the fact that I didn't have like a constant or guide mentor does not mean I didn't have people in my corner. So there's this senior designer who like, well, from then I'll kind of transition to senior roles. So I rarely used to contact him before May 2023. But then we've all had Lynette mention we went to class together. So we went to a design master class with Max. His name is Maxwell Otieno, some very nice senior designer. He voluntarily took Lynette, and a couple of people to class, like literally truly more time. He used to come up with content and then he used to take us through. So this coincidentally landed at the time when I had already accepted that I'm not good in design. I need to learn design. Let's do this course. Let's like wake up. Let's sleep 5 hours and all that. So yeah, still having those people in your corner. It was hard. I almost gave up so many times. I remember the sleepless nights, the nights I'd stain my pillow with tears. It gets hard by the way. And my friend usually used to help me pick myself up together. She reminds me, you've gotten here, where's your cheer? Come on. See, and so we'd keep going. So for me, basically it was having a support system. So me saying not having a mentor, I took this class as part of my support system.
Okay, thank you for that, Chantel. I'll move on to the next question about showcasing your first question, about building your portfolio and learning that first role or whatever is working for you right now. So what advice would you give to someone on building a powerful portfolio and helping them showcase their design skills? And Gatia, you can take us through that.
Yeah, so the way I did it, of course, I know that for the guys who are starting out, we've all rushed to Coursera, and Coursera will give you like a very good background. You learn all the UX that is required. So you learn about what to do before project starts, what you need, how to create user journeys, etc., etc. However, I think the trick is to identify. So you're a beginner, you've just finished Coursera. The trick is to identify a company. So, for example, Safaricom. Identify Safaricom, go to their reviews, then so on Play Store or on App Store, check what customers are complaining about. If it's a big problem and it's being shared by many customers, open Figma, open XD, try and solve for that problem. Once you solve for that problem, okay, of course, do the research, talk to other customers, guys at home, then open Figma, try and solve for that problem. Then now speak about it. Go to LinkedIn, write a case study on how you solve for problem X. Tag everyone from the senior most person you see on LinkedIn to the least person you know on LinkedIn from that company. And again, share your story. Maybe from a company's perspective, that's not a problem that either is in their backlog or they're ready to solve it, or maybe they're solving it in another way. But you've now shown that I can create something, I can solve for a problem, and I did not just take a prompt from those generators, the ones that tell you design like an app for tourists to view lions in national the park. See, now that's different compared to solving a real problem that customers are facing. And that's what I did. I went, this was a selfish problem. I tried to solve for a problem that I wanted. I wanted to automate payments on M-Pesa. I tried solving it, recreated the app. Yeah, and that was part of my portfolio. I'm not saying that worked, but I believe with that you stand out. And then something else, especially if you'll be doing the course on Coursera, um, go and check how many people have done that course so far, and you'll find maybe 50,000 UX designers have done that course. Let's imagine 10,000 the ones who completed that course, and then maybe another 5,000 did the course and they have a portfolio. And this portfolio looks exactly like how on that course they told us to do it. Now imagine there's a role and 5,000 people have applied and all your portfolios look the same. As a hiring manager, I'm not one, but as a hiring manager, I'll look at the first portfolio, the second portfolio, and within time, I'll be like, it just looks the same. So the thing is, yeah, get the basics from the course, but then craft your own story, create your own story, get the foundations, but then let your story be different. Because I actually, if you go to my Behance, yeah, that's part of my portfolio in terms of I have the same thing that at the end of the course that they do call a portfolio. But then the problem is you are not standing out. And as Michelle said, the industry is saturated now. It's how good can you be? And the best way is solve a real problem. Don't, okay, I know you'll hear guys saying, uh, don't do fake apps on your portfolio. Yeah, that's true, because after some time we can easily tell that you did not do a usability study. Now, case in point, from the Coursera, I'm sure if you guys check on Coursera, you'll get an email or somebody will inbox you telling you, grade my assignment, then I'll grade your assignment. So give me an A and I'll give you an A. So of course, it's easy for you to fake your way through the course because there is no one who is marking the course. Now for you, the only way to stand out is solve a real problem. Check out what customers are saying, solve it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then tell everyone who cares to listen. LinkedIn, in your church, in your mosque, at the market. Yeah, and within time, yeah, God will open ways.
Thank you for that, Ngatia. I'd like us to talk about that one project that everyone has worked on that was so monumental in their career that they are very proud of till to date. And yeah, I just want to hear from all of you. What have you enjoyed on building so far and designing that has actually made a milestone for you in your career? Takers, anyone?
I can start. My most favorite project was, so when I was an intern, how I got my role was I joined Brighter Monday as a customer experience advisor. So during my onboarding, my manager asked me, what are you passionate about? And I told her I'm passionate about design. So what she would do, she would push me in those design product stuff. And then she would tell everyone who cared to listen, so this is Michelle. She's a UX designer. She's a product designer. So when there was an opportunity, I was like, my designer, I can do this. So I told these guys, give me a chance. So the new product manager was actually new. It was his like third month. So they had no time to like hire someone, take them through the whole product. And I was like, me, come on, guys, I know the product, me. So they chose me, and I was like, yes, I have 3 months to show them what I can do. So we were doing like an employer revamp for our website. So we were revamping the whole experience for our employers. And then that time, unfortunately, I fell sick. I had to go in for surgery. So I remember when I did my user research, I went to the stakeholder management meeting with a Google slide that was 102 pages. And they were like, come on, be for real. But now I had to go back and redo the whole thing. Stakeholders deal with numbers. So still an intern, I went back, I was like pushing myself. So now I got sick, I had to do surgery. I'm having my surgery tomorrow, but I am in a meeting with my product manager and I'm like, I need to see this thing. Like, if this thing flops, this is like, mediocrity and me, no. And we launched it and we launched the new employee experience and it was a success. And my name was all over it. Like, it was my first, like, they gave me that offer. They were like, Sawa Shika. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That was my best project. Like, I gave it everything. Like, my surgeon was like, Connie, where do you work? You're supposed to go to surgery tomorrow, but for a meeting. I'm like, no, this is all me. This is me, and that's my best project. I did a video and I linked it on my LinkedIn, so it shows all the things that we did to the whole employer experience. So right now, we launched learning for Brighter Monday. So I work for Brighter Monday and Jubaman. We launched learning, and that was also me, which was really amazing. So, but that one is something that's really stuck here because I was new and I didn't drop the ball. That's my favorite project.
That's very interesting. Shakers, anyone for the next? You're all answering the question. Hakuna mtu analuka na hii.
I like Michelle's stories. It's like very utopian kind of vibe. Yeah, I think for me, I'd have to say it was the Mentalist project, Spacia Tech. I actually put it on my portfolio. Um, I think that time it was the first project. Like, I had previously worked on a mobile app, but working on that project made me realize, guy, like, it just brought so much, like, it brought me back to reality because first of all, the amount of time it took and the amount of like research we had to do and iterations and going back to redefining the problem. And like, you think you're not moving to the next step, but it's actually progressing. Time is moving. And I think it also like put so many things into perspective because for me, I had already said I'm going to be like contracting, but then now working in that made me realize, kwa ground, like, there's so many things I might have overlooked. And also just like getting to work with a really big team and getting to like learn from others, because that was, I'd say, my first experience collaborating with other creatives. And it is, yeah, it's crazy because everybody comes there with like, yeah, like Michelle said, design makes you think, gives you that God complex. My design is the best, guys. That's it. And now somebody else also comes with my design is the best. And now you have to like work together to, criticize which one you should move forward with. And it also like introduced me to like so many different designers. Like, I met Chantel. Okay, I think I'd met Chantel earlier, but yeah, we got to work together on that project as well. So yeah, I think that's the one project that really, especially in terms of UX, because I was like, I love UX. I love doing this. Yeah, but it really pushed me to the limits because at the same time I was in school and doing other things. So I was doing it on the part time, but I loved it. I loved how we got to just learn about the community and the people we are building this for, and how seeing that come to fusion and seeing that product live, that was really nice. Like, by that time I had like left the product. When it was being launched, but it was nice seeing it out there. You're like, wow, yeah, the sleepless nights were worth it. So yeah, I'd say that was the interesting project I worked on.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Chantel, please.
sorry. Um, the project I did was just on Coursera. Like, so yeah. Like it's a project we were told to generate, right? So it was like the movie ticketing application, and like Ngatia has said, uh, Jenny, those fake projects, people just see through them. I actually tried as much as I could to do user testing, but trust you me, it was with people I knew, so it was also not as effective. And while I could like give evidence of that, right? It, like I said, it was with people I knew. Now, what I really feel like gave me points was how I wrote my case study. So far, the feedback I got on my case study from, including Michelle, people I considered mentors, well, it's long, right? It's long, but it is a story you're telling. So I tried being the only thing I know I have, the only thing I know each and everyone has is authenticity. If you can express your whole authentic self in your case study and master also the art of storytelling, mix it up in there, and then also add. I think if I would be living this meetup, I would be also adding that here's way of solving a problem that actually exists. So imagine like combining all that and doing it very well. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Chantel. Ngatia?
So mine is project that is a mini app. So it's called Coral Mini App. So Coral, it's a mini app that helps clearing agents and anyone who is importing to be able to get insurance for marine and pay for it. So the way the journey currently exists is if I have an item that I'm shipping from abroad, I'll have to walk to or call all the insurance companies, get the different quotes, and then they'll tell me how to do the payment. So this mini app shortens that journey in that because all your cargo is tied towards your KRA PIN. You just give us your KRA PIN and your email address. You find your cargo, then say that you want to insure it, get all the quotes from the insurance companies that are insuring it, make payment, and then get your certificates. And that journey is as easy as I have explained it. So that gave me a lot of fulfillment because I was able to go to the coasts, talk to different clearing agents. At first, the way we had positioned our journey was wrong. And from that, we were able to refactor, and now the journey is live. Yeah, so long story short, that was the one that gave me, like, I was very excited about.
Okay, thank you very much. You've been an engaging panel, so I'll just throw this one out for anyone to take it or any advice. Also, anyone from the audience will be welcome to take this question. So, when you began your UX career, I know like you are trying to figure out a journey and you had challenges along the way. So, what advice would you give to someone who is currently thinking about transitioning? What roadmap would be advisable for them to take in order for them to overcome these challenges and help them transition to what they want to build in the future? So, the audience is also welcome to this. So, if you can just put up your hand and answer it, that would be okay. So, takers among my panel wants to start. What roadmap? Pea mtu plan, chorea mtu plan vizuri, ikienda hivi iende vizuri. Like we need it. We need to help each other as a community. So please, help us, help us, help us.
I don't think there's a definite roadmap. You'll find people do things differently. Like for me, I started with learning Figma, and then I was like, okay, I'm learning how to design, but do I understand it? And then I had to go back and learn the basics. Also, people say that, oh, you need mentors. Sometimes I think you need a community, but you do not necessarily need mentors, but it's good to have because my mentors gave me my first gig. They held my hand. Even right now, nikikwama na kitu, I will go. I have a friend called Brian. He's a senior designer. I would there's a day I was having a problem with the design system, and I called him and we had a meeting at 1 a.m. So a community is very important. So I think find what works for you and then run with that.
Okay, thank you for that. Panelists, before I ask Wakabi to take it.
For me, I'd say understand what works for you. So for some people, maybe it's like for some people starting with UX, maybe it's too much notes, too many things you're learning at once and all that. Others, when they started with Figma, it was all exciting and you're working with colors and whatnot. But don't one thing I'd say is don't come to UX with the idea that you're a talented artist and that's all that's going to work for you. I think I'd say that because yeah, I was like I was the person doing calligraphy for people in high school. This will be good for me, guy. Yeah, make sure just come ready to learn. It's not easy. It's not just about rectangles and colors. There's a lot of learning and just a lot of things. UI UX design. It's not just about the images. There's a lot of understanding what the user wants, and you have to learn how to separate yourself from your designs, from your work. So you'll be tested as the person as the designer, and also make sure for me, what worked was a community. So look for what works for you, whether it's a mentor, somebody will walk you through, but make sure you have people you're surrounded by people that will give you genuine feedback in your designs and in what you're doing. Like, I mean, if I show my mom designs, she'll just be like, hey, that's cool, because she doesn't understand what I'm doing. So clearly that's not the right person for me to go to get feedback. Or like if I showed my desk mate in school. So make sure it's the person that is in that field or in the same journey as you that you're reaching out to in terms of like resources and information, because that really helps a lot so that you don't get stuck in one place. And make sure you apply what you've learned. Don't just learn and learn and learn and have a certificate. Make sure you apply it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Alex Wakabi, you have your hand raised. You can speak up.
Yeah. I think for me, my advice will be you're never ready, you're never enough. So you need to take that risk. You'll never be enough. If you're waiting to be enough for you to be hired, then you'll never be enough. So learn to take that risk. And sometimes taking that risk means actually sometimes biting more than you can chew. Allow me to say that. By this, I mean, if you look even at job posting, the way they're done, sometimes you might be short of years in terms of experience. Yeah. But in terms of what you can deliver and in terms of the requirements, you fit that. So take that risk. Don't wait to be ready. And remember that first, you're getting into something that learning never ends. So it means that, yes, you'll never be perfect, you'll never be enough. And that means that you'll keep learning. So take that risk. It doesn't matter where you're starting from.
Thank you so much, Alex. Chantel Ngashia, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, just to add on what Alex mentioned. There's when I joined Safaricom, there's a person I met, and these were his exact words. He said, wewe si HR, wacha kufanya kazi ya HR in terms of do not disqualify you. Okay, no, we are answering the part of applying for the job. Do not disqualify yourself before you apply the job. So if you find a role, apply. Sometimes the people who are writing the JD, they probably, so in some companies, they don't know who they are looking for, and they might lack. So they might be asking for somebody with 5 years experience, wanaweza kosa, and yeah, yours might be the next one they'll consider. In regards to where to start from, I'd say Coursera is a good course. Like it's an amazing course. You'll get you'll get mostly the foundations on what UX is, and they've tried as much as possible to explain it and simplify very difficult terms and make it as easy as possible. And next, I'd say, so do Coursera, do the course, supplement it with YouTube. So YouTube, you'll get very many good designers, senior designers who have worked in all the companies that we dream of working at. And they will, again, break down very hard concepts into simple concepts. The other one is, and I know that this really takes time. So it's very easy to understand. For example, it's very easy to understand what's a user journey. Like a TikTok video in 1 minute, and then you watch like 10 of them. By the end of that, you'll have understood what's a user journey. Probably you'll not do the best one, but you'll have understood everything that entails a user journey or a user flow. I think the UI is a bit that I feel we really have to work and put a lot of work into it. So the daily challenges are amazing. Put them on your Behance, on your Dribble, redesign WhatsApp. Okay, so there's redesigning and then there's designing what's on WhatsApp. So take a screenshot of WhatsApp, go and find out the font they're using, the font size they're using, do a one-on-one, like, so this is my screenshot and this is my design. And with that, you're able to polish on your UI skills. Because again, at the end of the day, the way we all think is that we see first if God has blessed us with sight, we see first and then we act. So if your presentation is catchy, that's what will make me to proceed into reading the case study. So make sure that we polish on our UIs, and it doesn't have to be like a very big thing. Just take the apps that you love, YouTube, try as much as possible, redesign it from uh, okay, so there's redesigning and try and copy that design and make it your own, brag about it. Then now figure out how can I redesign this. And with that, so with Coursera, with the YouTube videos, and with working on your UI, yeah, within no time, you'll be ready. And as much as Alex has said, don't wait to be ready, but yes, you'll be ready.
Thank you so much. Any of my panelists? I just closed the meeting. Anyone who has something to say? Okay.
It's such a very small and they had points. Okay, so
Oh,
real
sorry.
quick. It's okay. Real quick. So roadmap guideline, that was the question, if I'm not wrong. Mimi, personally, coming from someone who struggled with having a roadmap or guideline, I can say if you're like really, really being intentional about your UX design, I'd say just do the Coursera course. I don't think there's a shortcut. I'll start from there and then try and learn from every creator. Do not undermine your peers. See, me and Elizabeth have grown together and now we are here. Do not undermine your peers also. They might, they're not perfect. They're also learning, but they might have learned something you didn't. So yeah. But the roadmap, honestly, but then again, a very good sir, Maxwell Otieno, once told me or us, the class, that design is not a linear process. So like really try and gauge what your resources. Normally it starts from empathy and then define evil, right? But in the real world, kwa ground between difference. So kuna vitu mob learn. Try and be ready to learn and relearn. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I can't remember if Elizabeth spoke. I know short memory loss, but only.
I did.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you were the first one. Anyway, I think that means that we have come to the close of this session. I didn't want it to end. It has been so interesting, and at the same time, I'm like, hey, time in Aisha, and we have to keep time. So, as usual, we'll be able to host. Oh, let me give the panelists a time to. Where can people connect with you on your socials?
Oh, on Twitter and LinkedIn, I think that's mostly active. Yeah. And reach out at Elizabeth Musanga. Yeah.
Yep. Also to mention this, like if you follow us on our socials, UIUX Nairobi, both on LinkedIn and Twitter, you'll find us having tagged today's speaker, so you can connect with them through there. And if they also want to share their emails on their, they can also share that on chat. But I have to close out the meeting. So in that regards, I want to thank to the amazing audience members who have helped us conquer the questions on chat. That has been, I'm really grateful that you took that initiative. And it has been really helpful having discussions going on in chat and going on with the panelists. So thank you for that. And that's why I love an interactive audience. So as usual, for UIUX Nairobi, we usually share job postings on our newsletter, and those who are not able to engage with the newsletter, we are able to share them in a Google document. So I'll be sharing that link on the chat, so you can be able to link up with us and apply for the roles or share with people who are also who may also be interested in the roles. It's good to keep the community alive. Also, on the same note, we currently have our newsletter publishing each month, and we also need people who are interested to share with us their case study presentations. As we've heard from the panelists, it's really good to have someone critique your designs and also help you understand what worked and what didn't work. So if you're interested in a UX case study presentation, RSVP on the links shared, subscribe to our newsletter, and keep in touch with us on socials. Also say hi when you see me around. I'd appreciate that. Also, that being said, I think we've come to the close of today's meetup. It has been a success and it has been really engaging having you today. I look forward to having you interact with each other and also help each other out to build a better UIX community in Kenya. And that's it from today. So if you want to share some love, you can do that as I close up the meeting. So many reactions to Ske Vizuri, kidogo kidogo. It's really, really helpful for us. That being said, let me just say bye for now, and we'll meet on socials. It was nice seeing you all. Asanteni sana, barikiweni. Have a very productive month, and looking forward to our next meetup. Same time, same place. We'll share the links and details. Bye.
Bye.